people treat each other so badly, and it's because I think for the most part, they're coming from a place of wounding. So,
Yeah.
if we can heal what's inside of us and really come into a place of love and compassion and see others that, they're on their journey too, I think that alone would bring more equity and love and tolerance and that kind of thing into the world. And also, there wouldn't be a need for narcissism anymore because hurt people hurt people. So get rid of that. When we transmute the hurt into joy, yeah, our whole reality will shift.
Welcome to Hold My Purse, the podcast where self-care takes center stage and you become the priority. I'm Ro, your guide on this journey to reclaiming your well-being and empowering you to live your best life. Bi-weekly, we'll explore practical tips, inspiring stories, and expert advice to help you nurture your mind, body, and soul. Join our tribe of self-care warriors and let's embark on this transformative path together. Today, y'all, I am so thrilled to have Shelli Roberts join us. Shelli spent much of her adult life trapped in the cycle of trauma and mental anguish and unable to find peace and joy. I'm sure we can all relate. Despite her spiritual journey, she felt stuck, living in a constant fear of what would come next. Over the past 15 years, Shelli has dedicated herself to inner work. Through this journey, she cultivated soul awareness and intuitive connection while releasing trauma, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt. Now her passion is to empower others to achieve their own joyful transformations. If you're feeling stuck, we're here to shatter those limitations. Welcome to the show, the ever-inspiring Shelli.
Oh, Ro, it's such an amazing to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to get into this. All right, let's get this party started.
Let's go.
Can you share more about your healing journey? I know when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, you shared so much, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's so many people that are going through similar things. So please share your story.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, buckle up. It's a long lifetime of trauma, unfortunately, starting at a young age with parents who were not emotionally available. So I was kind of not supported and feeling unheard and unseen and like I didn't matter. And then brought that into my older, as I grew up, became an overachiever to prove, yes, I do matter. And then as I moved into my adult years, landed with a narcissistic, ended up marrying a narcissistic husband. He raised my daughter as a narcissist, and so I got abuse from her as well. And then I was dealing with a family member who was a narcissist in a mutual family property arrangement that I took over from my mom. And so it was like years and years and years and years of the kind of abuse that narcissists love to dish out, the criticism constantly, the gaslighting, all of it. So I went from, not feeling enough to not being worthy. And literally, after I got divorced, I was a puddle of a human. I literally, just a puddle on the floor. I didn't have my own identity. I didn't have any self-esteem or self-worth, nothing. I mean, literally through that journey, my daughter tried to commit suicide on 3 different occasions. I found myself in the hospital with stress-related, trauma-induced PTSD and mental health issues. The anxiety and the depression from all of that. It was just one long, drawn out cry of desperation, truly. Not at all a joyful life. So to have been able to discover the tools and techniques and the foundations, belief foundations that I have, and then employ them and these spiritual tools that I've trained in to build myself back up, but also to empower others to do the same. It's just such a blessing to be able to do this work.
Oh my gosh. I,
Yeah, a nightmare of a life.
that is just that's heartbreaking. But clearly you were able to kind of you recognize some things, and I'm curious to know, like, at what point did you say, you know what, I deserve better, and what did you do when you realized that?
Um, the third time, I was still married at the time, and the third time that I landed in the hospital for stress-related mental issues was right after I got fired from a job, and literally, I was like, that totally violated my high achieving identity.
Mm-hmm.
And getting fired from the job that he pushed me into taking because of the pay being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was ugly on multiple fronts because I was the primary breadwinner of the family, and he treated me like no empathy or care or concern that I had just had a mental breakdown and had to spend some time in the hospital to recover.
Oh my God.
It was all about him, right? So there's no empathy. They didn't care. He's just, I got out of the hospital and I'm hearing all about how, it's all my fault that, we don't have enough money, and it just, narcissistic abuse is awful.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yes.
I dated a
So
narcissist for years, so I know. And unfortunately, there wasn't as much conversation about it,
yeah,
during that time. But oh my goodness.
yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, there still isn't enough
No,
conversation
agreed.
about it. There's a
Agreed.
lot more now.
Hmm.
There's holistic healers who are looking at the full mind, body, spirit approach, or mind, body at least.
Hmm.
And so that is a very positive development. But like you, the psychologists weren't even, they didn't even know what it was. They didn't acknowledge it. And so, it was my problem and my issue. It had nothing to do with him. I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Right.
This reality is not something I wish on my worst enemy. And here I am tolerating. But the catalyst for me was literally the third breakdown, and my daughter was super young at the time, and he was abusing her, and here I am in the hospital, and he's pulling her hair to keep her under control, and I'm like, oh,
Oh my God.
we're not having this. So I took my time with the divorce. I tried to go to counseling. He wasn't participating, and did all the things. And narcissists aren't inclined to change their colors.
Mm.
So it wasn't working. And I didn't know, I know a lot more now that there's a whole lot more published and research and studies and that kind of thing done. Back then, though, it's like, you don't know how to deal with it. All you know is that you're being pushed in directions, manipulated, controlled, and I was like, I was a free spirit. I wasn't going to be controlled. And so it was this
Mm.
constant
say nasty things to me. And for a while, I was like, just to give you an example. So he was a little bit overweight. I work out every day, and I remember one time he said to me, "You need to get in shape. I don't like your body." I said, "So says the guy that is overweight." And that was like the catalyst for me, like pushing back on him, and then eventually saying, "You know what? Psh, I don't need you no more."
Not doing
But
it.
and then I had to go to therapy because I needed to unpack in my mind why I allowed that for so long. Like, what's wrong with you, Rhonda? What needs to be healed? What part of your life it has created this trauma in you where your tolerance is so high for the BS? And that's what my therapist said. She was like, your tolerance is way too high, and you need to set standards and value for yourself.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
huge.
commend you. I commend you for doing that. But I hadn't heard about this, what you said, narcissistic syndrome, like the
Abuse
post abuse
syndrome.
syndrome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
victim syndrome. Yeah.
yeah. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, the what's wrong with me is very much a part of that. Narcissists prey on those who are either very highly empathic and so are very
Mm-hmm.
much caring of others, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they prey on that, and so empaths in particular are caught into that. Their modus operandi is to be super charming at the very beginning, and then you find out down the road after they've got their hooks in you that there's ugliness underneath the surface. So that's pretty common. By the time you realize what is going on, you're already invested, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it's typical to wonder, what is it about me? Well, the answer is either you have the high tolerating, which was my case as well. Um, I was bullied all of my formative years growing up every single day, and so that taught me how to tolerate uncomfortable and untenable, can't get out of it kind of situations. So
Mm-hmm.
my tolerance level was through the roof. It was only until he started nitpicking on my daughter for no reason that like snapped me out of the catalyzing that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The other aspects of narcissistic victim syndrome are the low self-esteem that comes from being criticized constantly, the how to put it, the destruction of your self-identity
Mm-hmm.
due to the gaslighting, because you're questioning yourself because he twists everything around. They will twist everything around to their own benefit and to their own, what their story, what their narrative is. And so it's all about them. So you end up questioning your own judgment. So you end up having a sense of, can I even trust myself?
Mm-hmm.
Because it happened to you, you're wondering, I didn't see this coming. Well, nobody does, because they're very charming at the very beginning.
Very.
But yeah, definitely. But then you wonder, can I trust myself to have a good judge of character? So it's very insidious, all the
Mm-hmm.
various aspects that interaction. The longer that you're with somebody, the more entrenched it becomes, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
if you do have the wherewithal, like you did, to get out as soon as possible, then the damage is done, but it isn't as maybe as badly entrenched as someone who has spent years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
I see some like older couples who um, they're very much in a narcissistic relationship, but the wife is like, she's just like accepts it for what it is. And she's, puddle on the floor and is constantly codependent on her husband. Codependency is another aspect, and
Mm-hmm.
has no problem with it. And I'm like, okay, that's not me. I'm very much my own person and always have been. And so, having that personal empowerment and that ability to, stand for what you believe in and unapologetically speak your truth, that's who I'm about, and that's what I want for the other women leaders who are inspired to step into the service to help others and make the world a better place. But you look around and you see, there's plenty of people who are, they're being abused daily and don't even see it, don't recognize it, and it doesn't bother them at all. They just aren't aware of it. It's not part of their, it just is for them, which is
Yeah,
sad to me. But I mean, they're on their own journeys too.
absolutely. I know when we chatted, we talked also about the workplace
Yeah.
because it
Narcissism.
just, yeah, like
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with someone and I said, it just blows my mind how some of these toxic individuals are elevated to the highest positions
Yeah.
in organizations and they wreak havoc on the people below them that
Yeah.
do the work. And these companies allow it.
Mm,
That just, it literally blows my mind.
me too.
When I know you mentioned that you had worked in a few toxic environments. How did you navigate that?
So I have a couple of examples for you. I work, my day job is working for the government, and I work in national security. And in that capacity, it's very patriarchal because the military is hierarchical and is just embedded in the culture. So in that environment, the men that I worked for were actually fairly, pretty supportive and enlightened. There were some that I had trouble with, but it was the women, and
Oh,
that was incredibly disappointing to me.
mhm,
So one woman I was working for, she was in a position of authority. She was my boss's boss, and so at a higher level, loved to throw that in everybody's face about how powerful she was, and then literally decided that she was going to. I mean, she was pitting people in her office one against the other, and literally corralled everybody against me. I was being bullied by her. Now, the rest of the other people, thankfully, did not participate,
mhm,
although they could have, and that'd been a real ugly. In that instance, I recognized it for what it was, and I was like, you can have your little party over there, and I'm just going to go on being who I am, and you can pound in the government, they try to get you to conform with the
mhm,
collective, and so you get, the nail that sticks up gets pounded on. I'm like, you can pound all day. I've dealt with worse, right? At that point, I was
mhm,
um, already in
mhm,
it with my ex. Later on, though, after I was divorced, and this was only a couple of years ago, a woman that I was ended up being her subordinate. She was in a very, very senior level within the organization and had a bunch of very senior individuals dancing around her drum, if you will,
mhm,
and towing her party line, which I thought was a poor example of leadership in the people that I was working for at the most senior levels. So that part saddened me.
mhm,
But then she literally was creating instances that weren't going to end well for me. And so I ended up, she created places where she was stirring the pot and not behaving as an appropriate supervisor that would be looking out for their subordinates, much like what you were
mhm,
discussing,
mhm,
and allowed, either created or allowed. In her case, she did both. She allowed the toxicity to continue, which was inappropriate, and the government actually has training and things against that.
mhm, mhm,
Corporations, I think, don't have as high of a standard in that respect. But she was violating all of those core values. And then at the lower level, she was also poisoning the well with the people that I worked with. And so, the best that I could do in that arrangement was be aware of how I was coming across. So I was like literally walking on eggshells. Every time I sent an email that she was CC'd on, I was like, how is this going to be received? And then finally I was like, you know what? You can school your words, but if you're walking on eggshells, then you're definitely in a toxic environment. And if the
right.
toxic environment is not something that you personally are able to do about it at that point in time, then you're in a tolerating mode. And the only thing that you can do is be true to yourself, stand in your own power, and then get as many allies without being toxic yourself. So making sure that people know you and interact with you authentically so
Mhm,
that they're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Working with Shelli is, the greatest thing that's happened to me. She's helping me. She's always been supportive. That kind of thing is what ends up helping to turn things around. But she was working at not only the senior most levels, but also at my peers. So it turned ugly. Literally, she took me into her office at one point. This is typical narcissist. She was a covert narcissist. I don't know if you've heard that term.
No, what is that?
That's when they don't show their colors. It's covert, so it's under the hood, and you
Okay.
experience it differently because you don't see it at all. And so I
Mm.
experienced it when she did my performance review, and she's like, well, she tanked my scores. I've always been a high performer, and I've got the scores over time, a trend over time that show love her work, love how she engages with people, high integrity, all the core values demonstrated, personal leadership off the charts. And she tanked all my scores. And I was like, oh, here we go. So I had to jump through hoops to demonstrate that I did perform,
Mm-hmm.
that when the opportunity arose to, when I was being informed that she was going to put me on a performance plan, I specifically asked her, okay, where am I not performing? What am I not doing? Give me an opportunity. Some feedback is the appropriate thing to do so that I have the opportunity to course correct my behavior. Oh, I'm just going to put you on a plan. I just hear too much about you. What? Yeah, she was the one stirring the pot, but she's hearing too much about me. And so I was like, okay, I get to be the fall guy. I mean, recognized it right away
Mm-hmm.
because there wasn't going to be any further discussion because there was no substantiation whatsoever. It was just
But you
her.
had your allies though, right? You had created your allies in the organization, right?
Yeah, they don't contribute to the
The
performance plan. It's straight just the supervisor's perspective.
But what
So
about, I'm sorry, but what
no, it's
about
okay.
like what about your trend of high performance and then for it to dip like that? That's a serious red flag.
That is a serious red flag. There is in the government, and again, I don't know in corporations
Oh,
that there are many opportunities, but literally, it is not okay in the government. Their standard of behavior is very high because we have to maintain the integrity. We're using taxpayer dollars, so presumably for the greatest good, right?
mm-hmm.
So this kind of thing is not accepted. We've got an organization called the we've got legal organizations, but also there's, I forget what it's called. It'll come to me.
Okay.
But it's a non-legal. But you have courses of action where they can either engage with various parts of the organization, like human resources, or with higher level seniors or the director of the organization or whatever is needed based on their judgment. And then if there's a systemic issue,
Mm-hmm.
then they're empowered to further address and launch a study if need be by the legal organization and say, okay, this is systemic. What's causing this? If it's a culture of toxicity, and clearly people at high levels are the ones who are creating it and making it okay for lower levels to be toxic too, right? So those kinds of things are in place. I wish they were in place more globally because as far as
Right.
I'm concerned, it needs to be called out and rooted out and
Mm-hmm.
shifted. It's
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah, they definitely need it at the corporate level because the thing that I feel like corporations don't realize, it impacts their retention,
Yeah,
right? And it's so
absolutely.
expensive when you are bringing new employees into the company and you can't retain them because you have
Yeah,
people who are just, I'd say, broken, because
yeah,
I believe that these types of individuals that wreak havoc are just broken. They have some things that they need to heal. It's not the company's job to heal them. It's their job to heal themselves, but it is the company's job, I think, to recognize and root that out.
yeah.
um,
Agree.
those are just my thoughts. So you were able to still step into your sense of like self and power. How did you do that?
Um, interestingly, interestingly, I do a little bit of a backstory. Every year I do a visioning exercise to kind of plan the growth path, the areas of focus. It's it's not like a vision board. It's an exercise that I go through to kind of center in on, okay, what do I want to manifest into the next year, energetically speaking
Mm,
and spiritually growth oriented. So sovereignty, stepping into personal sovereignty and the embodiment of the inner strength that's represented by what we're talking about, where you can weather those kinds of storms, personal attacks in this case, or navigating like other people's toxicity.
Mm.
So I wanted to be in a position where I can embody that and to be able to demonstrate it through just my beingness to others so that they can see, you know, you wouldn't know by looking at me that the traumatic life story that I told you had
You
even
really
happened.
wouldn't. No, not at all.
So, I mean, the power of the practices that I preach, I think are evident just because I have a level of self-confidence and unflappability that
Mm.
others are like, dang, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of work is where it came from, but it's so worthwhile. It truly is. The year that I chose sovereignty, this arose. And so I think it was the universe saying, okay, there's a couple of remaining things that you need to learn about this by living it, because that's what we're here to do as
Mm-hmm.
souls. We're going to be learning and growing and developing our wisdom through experience. And I was like, oh God, so here we go. And that alone, that recognition and realization alone helped me to not internalize it. And that was key. So I
Okay.
wasn't bringing home the stress as much. I was aggravated and just sickened by it
Mm-hmm.
all, but it didn't become a part of me because I recognized that this was a demonstration for my benefit, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's that mentality. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. So that's key
Okay.
right there.
Oh, that reframing. I love that.
Yeah. So that was key. And then the other thing that was key was I checked in. And I do this as a regular spiritual practice, but I checked in and I said, okay, spirits and guides, this thing is happening. Is there a spirit or guide who wants to help me learn, grow, and evolve from this? Who's going to be my go-to for getting through this? Because it's going to be a year-long thing. It's a performance review. It's a year-long thing. So I knew I
Mm-hmm.
was in it for the long haul. And Isis actually stepped forward. And so she's the one that made me realize that this was happening for me and that she was very much there to support me through it. And she did. Every time I checked in, I had a question or presented, here's what's happening, here's how I feel about it. And I had some very sage wisdom and loving guidance that came from that. And that alone, I think, was the hugest thing that helped me navigate it all. And at the end of it, gave me the strength to approach the organization that could come in and engage and say, okay, you need to have a conversation with the senior leader, or you need to have these scores adjusted and have those conversations, because I wasn't able to have them myself. I could only
Mm-hmm.
go through the process. And so they did. They ended up shifting the scores. It was not as high as what I had been used to. It was like notched down, but instead of the very, very bottom, it was more at the middle. And I was like, I can live with that.
Okay. How does one connect with their spirit guide?
Oh,
Like
I love
I
that
need God.
question.
I need some like really bad.
Oh, that question. I have quite a few offerings around this. It starts with your intuition and
Okay.
then a regular practice where you check in with your soul connection. And so that can look like meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That could look like a guided visualization that guides you to a place where you intentionally want to connect. And then with practice, it
Mm-hmm.
happens. If you or your listeners are on the high end of having intuitive connection, then it happens like that typically.
Okay. Okay.
If it's not as developed and it's not as much in somebody's regular awareness, then it takes a little bit of practice in order to get them there. But it actually is very, very powerful to be able to connect in either to your higher self. I call it my spirit team.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bajillion angels and archangels that guide me.
Oh,
I've gotten to a place where literally I'll be talking to somebody and I sense the energy of Archangel Michael stepping up, and literally I'll get an intuitive hit,
mm-hmm.
either something that I'm being told or a feeling of like wings surrounding me, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So when you're able to connect in with your spirit guides and know who they are, you can recognize their individual support right now in the moment. And that is such an amazing place to feel infinitely supported. You never will doubt ever, ever again that you are alone in this experience after you've been able to connect that way.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to go down the rabbit hole on this. So how do you see like your guides helping with your healing process? Like what does that feel or look like? Like how does that happen?
Um, I think it's a level of awareness where, like, for example, if something triggers you,
Mm-hmm.
something just sets you off and you're like, okay, you have to recognize, so I'm just reacting. You have to recognize that there's something embedded underneath the surface that caused you to go, ah, whatever the reaction
That
was.
trigger. Yeah.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Or in some cases, it's just a feeling of deep sadness and grief, or it's a feeling of anger, or something like profound that comes up for you. In
Mm-hmm.
some cases, it might be a sense of low self-worth. And, that there's that feeling of unworthiness again. I'm not enoughness again. What
Mm-hmm.
just triggered that? So recognizing in the moment that you're being triggered and then acknowledging it mentally so that you're not just reacting
Okay.
on autopilot. Once you recognize that it's happening again, you can then reel back your memory and say, okay, what just happened here? Was it this person that triggered me? Was it the, belief construct that I have around that individual? Is it something they said that, if somebody else says it, was it their tone? Maybe I read
Mm-hmm.
their body language and just reacted to that. So literally rolling back in the memory and being fully aware eventually of what is it that triggered you about them or about the situation or about the conversation, what was said. In that instance, you can then reel back even further and go within because you're being triggered by something inside of you, not,
Mm-hmm.
they're just the mirror for you to have it come up. And then you recognize that these are coming up so that I can heal them. So once you identify what the belief was or the story that was underneath the surface, you can then shift the story, reframe it, as you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
shift your belief around it so that the next time, and that does a lot of transmuting the energy, and there's more energetic things that can be done. But the realization alone tends to be pretty, pretty powerful because once you recognize, oh, there's that story again. Ugh, oh, it came up again,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can choose in the moment to not let it trigger you again. And then eventually, once you heal the energetic charge around whatever happened, it's no longer a trigger. It's not in you anymore. It might be a recognition or a realization, but having that huge reactive response doesn't happen nearly as much. And most of the triggers that I have are gone because I've worked with them in that way over time.
I got some triggers I need to work on for sure. One of my biggest triggers is bad service. Oh my
Mm.
gosh. Like I just be like, I'm not your problem today. Like why are you taking this out on me? What are some of the what are some tools and practices that people can do um to help them when they're feeling triggered or um in a low energy space? Like what are some things that people can do?
So there's two things. I would say for low energy would be one practice where um, you recognize what's causing you to be, again, it's the awareness. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
recognizing what's causing you to be low energy and then doing something consciously that will raise your energy. So music, dancing like nobody's, can
Mm-hmm.
see you,
Mm-hmm.
taking a walk in nature, any of those things. I go to YouTube and there's sound healing, like
Mm-hmm.
bowls and that kind of thing, or
Oh my
the
God, I
chanting.
went to a sound bath last night. Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's profoundly healing.
Hmm.
Those kinds of things. Yeah. So all of those very, very good. Um, in the moment though, the first thing is to just take a breath. Don't
Okay.
automatically go into reaction and just go, okay, here I am again. And then choose how you want to respond. Really quick. It's to be eventually fairly quick and habitual. You recognize, okay, is this me reacting to something outside of me, or is this person poking me and really
Hmm.
trying to poke my buttons? So deciding, is this me or is this them? I think folks who have a deep wounding always assume that it's the other person, when in fact it's our own embedded, whatever the stories are that are causing us to react that way. It's things like, I'll take your not great service. Somebody, a server comes in and they should be courteous, I think, and be present to their customer, right? And, I've been in service industries and I will tell you the customer is supposed to always be right, but they aren't always, right? And so at the end of the day, they should be respectful of the customer's desires. They should be interacting in a courteous way, and they should take care of things that are right promptly, right? And if it turns out that it's egregious, then call the manager over and hand it off to them to handle, right? There are appropriate ways to do these things. I'm finding, though, that in the service industry of late, that there's people who don't have the constitution to be good at helping or serving others. And in that capacity, they put all their stuff out there on their customers. It's like the customers came in for a beautiful dining experience, and here you are unloading on them. I had that happen to me once, right? The guy had a bad day and I'm coming in for breakfast. I'm like, thanks, dude. You just set the tone for my entire day at my breakfast.
Yes, that energy, low vibration, like why?
Yes. But I mean, having an arsenal of things that you would say in that case that are pointed, but also respectful, because you don't want to go down the same, negative spiral. It would just make it worse for you and maybe them as well. And keeping yourself, at a place where you want to be, which is at a much higher level of vibration, right? And seeing them, okay, you're having a bad day, but that doesn't mean that I need to be a part of it.
That part, not at all.
Yeah.
So are there some exercises that, folks can do to help them navigate, I always say, this thing called life when they're
So there's a bunch. I would say one of the biggest things that I would recommend for triggers in particular is journaling is always incredibly powerful. If you've got the right journal prompts that guide you down the self-awareness, getting connected to what is this inside of me that is being triggered and why, whether it's a story or a belief, like you said. And then I love how emotional freedom technique, if you've heard of it, EFT tapping, really helps to not only get at the energetics of it in your body, but releases it from your body so that your body memory is not this automatic response every time. Okay. So the release is what allows you then to say, oh, okay, yeah, taking a breath, letting it go. The next time it happens, I'm not going to be as high charged. I'm going to be much lower down here and won't be as ready to jump down the person's throat or whatever the reaction is. So EFT tapping is a technique that I strongly recommend. It does several things. One, it releases the negativity and the stress in our body through intention. In the various points where we have meridians, so the nerve endings for in our body, so they're all over. If you look up a Chinese meridian graphic, you can see that there's literally ley lines in our body, and so there's specific points that you can tap on that tap into an entire system of energy networks inside of us. So it releases those, and then the power of your mind is brought to bear with intention, recognizing and acknowledging I'm okay, even though start with I love and accept myself, even though I'm experiencing this. You basically are telling yourself it is okay to feel the way I feel right now, but I don't want to continue to feel this way. So I'm going to do this process in order to release what is stored in my body and the stories that are in my mind so that I can clear that and then move on to a higher plane of experience. The next time it comes up, I'm not at a 10 anymore. I'm not going to go straight off the edge. I'm maybe at a 5. Or if you keep tapping, you can get it down to a 1 or a 0, and it's no longer there. It's gone, completely gone.
So as you're tapping, you're like saying what, affirmations or something like that to yourself? What does that look like?
So it's a script. Would you like to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do one real quick? Okay. It's
Okay.
about a good 15 or so minutes. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, so I've got one, acknowledging low self-confidence and installing greater self-acceptance and embracing deservability. Sound good?
Yes, sounds good because I got to speak next week for the
You got
200
this.
people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, you got this. All right. So the first place that we tap on is this called the karate chop point. And
Hmm.
this is the setup phrase. So the setup is, and you repeat after me, I'll give you some space. Even though I have low self-confidence
Even though I have low self confidence
and struggle with feeling deserving,
and struggle with feeling deserving,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I doubt my abilities
Even though I doubt my abilities
and don't feel deserving of success,
and don't feel deserving of success,
I accept who I am and how I feel.
I accept who I am and how I feel.
Even though I struggle with self-confidence and deservability,
Even though I struggle with self confidence and deservability,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Okay. We're going to shift to our releasing, our acknowledging. So we're going to start with our eyebrow point here, right above the eyebrow.
Mm-hmm.
So this low self-confidence,
This low self confidence,
side of the eye, I doubt my abilities.
I doubt my abilities,
Under the eye, I don't feel deserving of success.
I don't feel deserving of success.
Under the nose, I struggle with self-confidence.
I struggle with self confidence.
Under the chin, I'm not sure of my abilities.
I'm not sure of my abilities.
Okay, on your collarbone, this lack of self-confidence.
This lack of self confidence.
And then under the arm, so right at the where the bra underneath your arm, I doubt what I can do.
I doubt what I can do.
And then at the top of the head, I don't feel deserving.
I don't feel deserving.
Okay, that was the acknowledging how you feel right now. Take a deep breath. The second round is to acknowledge and release those feelings that you just brought into your conscious awareness. So we start again at the eyebrow point. Even though I have this low self-confidence, I choose to release it now.
Even though I have this low self confidence, I choose to release it now.
Side of the eye, I am capable of more than I realize.
I am capable of more than I realize.
Under the eye, I choose to acknowledge my abilities.
I choose to acknowledge my abilities.
Under the nose, releasing self-doubt.
Releasing self doubt.
On the chin, I am beginning to trust myself.
I'm beginning to trust myself.
On your collarbone, letting go of low self-confidence.
Letting go of low self confidence.
Under the arm, I am recognizing my strengths.
I am recognizing my strengths.
And top of the head, I am capable and deserving.
I am capable and deserving.
Okay, deep breath. You can already feel your body calming and becoming more present and centered to how you feel. The third round is the last round. Actually, no, this one has 4. You can structure them differently, and you can also change the words to be more specific and suited to your certain specific situation. But in this round, we're going to install greater self-acceptance and deservability, and we're going to start at the eyebrow point. I am worthy of self-confidence.
I am worthy of self confidence.
I acknowledge my abilities.
I acknowledge my abilities.
Under the eye, I am confident in who I am.
I am confident in who I am.
Under the nose, I trust my abilities.
I trust my abilities.
On your chin, I accept myself fully.
I accept myself fully.
On the collarbone, I am deserving of success.
I am deserving of success.
Under the arms, I believe in myself.
I believe in myself.
And top of the head, I deeply and completely accept my abilities and deservability.
I deeply and completely accept my abilities and deservability.
Okay, another deep breath. All right, the fourth and final round is personal empowerment and a reaffirmation of your self-acceptance. So we're going to start on the eyebrow.
I am confident in my abilities.
On the chin, I deserve to feel good about myself.
I deserve to feel good about myself.
Collarbone, I am enough just as I am.
I am enough just as I am.
Under the arm, I believe in my deservability.
I believe in my deservability.
And top of the head, I deeply and completely accept myself and know I deserve success.
I deeply and completely accept myself and know that I deserve success.
And we're going to close off with affirmations on the karate chop point. Even though I had low self-confidence and struggled with deservability,
even though I had low self-confidence and struggled with deservability,
I choose to acknowledge and accept my abilities now.
I choose to acknowledge and accept my abilities now.
I am confident and strong.
I am confident and strong.
I trust and believe in myself completely.
I trust and believe in myself completely.
And know I deserve success and happiness.
And know I deserve success and happiness.
Okay, final deep breath. Okay, so what kind of trepidations are still left regarding your talk? You have anything left?
I feel light. I don't. I was just going to ask you how long will this last?
Yes.
Do I have to redo it?
I'm happy to give you the script.
Okay.
We can make it available to your listeners too.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. I do feel better though.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole lightening the emotional burden that you're storing inside your body is the whole point of it, actually, and reframing your thinking.
That is amazing.
Isn't it? So simple, but so powerful.
But why isn't this widely known? Like, I think I just stumbled on it. I went to a wellness retreat and I stumbled upon it and I was like, what is this? But I'm about to do it.
Why am I tapping on myself?
Yeah, I'm like, everybody needs to know about this. It's better than any drug. Like,
yeah,
we
truly.
can heal ourselves. Heal yourself.
I, that's a really good question. And I think that we're starting to really come into what mystics have known all along, which is, we're a complex system of thinking and beliefs and the energy that we're bringing in from other people and, the planets and the earth and, everything, right? And starting to understand that it's all interconnected.
Right.
And so when you understand it's all interconnected, then guess what? You're not just dealing with the psychology of what your head's doing, right? You're now looking at, okay, how do I bring coherence from between what I'm thinking up here and then what my heart already knows?
Yes.
Right. So bringing those into coherence, and all of a sudden now you've got a level of grounding that you didn't have before, because you're all, at least in my case, I was all up in my head.
Me too.
Churning. It's like, okay, as soon as you drop out of your head and take a deep breath and get into your body wisdom kicks in at that point. And your body wisdom is like, okay, I don't like this. What is happening to me? What can I do differently? And then it triggers your head. Go back up and say, okay, you need to reevaluate. We need to do this different.
Oh my, that's so simple.
I know, right? But it's not something that we're taught. So it's something that we need to learn, unfortunately. But it's becoming more and more prevalent, I think. There's holistic practitioners that are now recognizing. There's a whole study done and the like PTSD and how the body keeps the score, and literally it stores it. There's a book on it called The Body Keeps the Score, which triggered a movement in the psychology arena in healing people who have diseases that may stem from emotional dysregulation, not just stress. They've long known the problems that stress causes in the body. But when you're stressed out with emotional challenges and trauma, that's the first seminal work that kicked off a whole lot of new techniques where practitioners are more looking at things more holistically.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing somatic body practices like EFT as part of their healing modalities in their clinical psychology, not only the diagnoses, but also the treatments. So I think that there's a huge shift that's coming that wasn't available to you and I when we were going through the healing and therapy
No.
associated with narcissistic abuse.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even have the word narcissist, when
No,
I was doing it, right?
me either.
It wasn't a thing.
It
Now it
was
is.
not.
So there's
That's
hope.
amazing.
Yeah, there's
That is
definitely hope.
amazing. Oh my goodness. Are there any other tools that you would recommend or techniques?
I am a huge proponent of the mindfulness practices, the breathing and somatic exercises. So things like yoga and qigong.
Oh, I just got
Literally,
exposed to Qigong like a month ago. And
yeah.
I
So
was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I had never
isn't
heard
it?
of it.
Yeah. No, you haven't really. There's different variations. I downloaded a training to learn about forest Geikong, which is its own kind of thing. So I'm on that journey too.
Mm-hmm.
But literally the things that you can do for yourself in pretty straightforward ways. It's taking like the nidra yoga, the slow movements, the intentional release of tension from various specific parts of your body. You can go on YouTube and they've got different yoga poses that you can do or routines that you can do for various chakras.
Mm-hmm.
So the lower chakras are where our past life and lineage trauma are stored. And so if you can clear out your lower chakras, literally the rest of you then becomes energized because
Right.
all of that stuck energy is now able to be circulated throughout the rest of you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty huge. I recommend getting into your body in that way. And then the other thing that I strong a proponent of is learning more about your authentic self. So literally, who are you as a soul personality, soul infused personality? Because we never lose our personality. It just becomes more soul infused. So having the higher vibrational or higher octave in sound healing language, where you're now operating instead of at guilt and shame and anger, you're now operating at love, joy, peace, higher level courage. So getting that, intentionally releasing the things that are stuck in yourself and allowing them to leave your body through movement. And then also through the conscious awareness and delving into, okay, I want to get to know my soul self better, and doing some of those practices, such as connecting in with your spirit team and learning about the goddesses and asking them to guide you and to be a part of your journey in a particular specific way. They're happy to do that. Archangels too.
So, y'all, she just gave us a bunch of tools if you're on that spiritual journey,
Yes.
dig deep. Is there anything else you want to share?
I would say the biggest takeaway that I would want your listeners to take away is that it's so amazing to be on the other side of all of that stuff that would hold us down. And once you recognize that it's within your own power to release and shift what's inside of you, and that is huge because that then shifts your experience of the outer world. And so the most empowering thing that you can do is to really delve into the who you are at a soul level authentically, and then how you definitely want to be showing up in the world. Confident, secure in yourself, joyful, fulfilled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are not theories. Those are available to us, to every single person. And so knowing that, a lifetime of trauma, but here I am, I'm in a really good place and I want that for others too, because we deserve it. That's our birthright.
I love that, and I agree with you 100%. We're not designed to live in a low vibrational state or anger and all those things.
No.
We're powerful beings, and we
Mhm.
deserve to live an abundance life for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. And we're the co-creators of our own reality.
Hmm.
So it's in your power to shift what you are experiencing. And knowing that is very empowering. That alone is very empowering. As soon as you experience it, you're like, oh my God, I did that. I manifested that. I did that intentionally, and look, it happened. Whoa, okay, yes.
Amen. Let's gavel that for sure. All right. So there's one question that I always ask my guests when they come on the show. If you had to create, if you could create a law that everyone had to follow with regards to self-care, what would it be?
Oh, be a good human.
Listen, we need to wipe the world of that one because
Oh, I know. I know. I mean, people treat each other so badly, and it's because I think for the most part, they're coming from a place of wounding. So,
yeah.
if we can heal what's inside of us and really come into a place of love and compassion and see others that, they're on their journey too, I think that alone would bring more equity and love and tolerance and that kind of thing into the world. And also, there wouldn't be a need for narcissism anymore
Mm-mm.
because hurt people hurt people. So get rid of that. When we transmute the hurt into joy, yeah, our whole reality will shift. I think it's
100%.
happening now as we speak. You and your listeners are definitely part of that, bringing the light and the healing into the world. So embrace it. Absolutely. And thank you for your gift and the work that you're doing in the world.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I want to make sure everyone can find you, all your work, like your website. You got all these workshops and share everything so people know how to reach you.
Thank you for that. The website is probably the best way. It's www.joyfultransformation.life. There's a couple of tabs. There's a free resources tab, so feel free to opt in on the free resources. There's also a login button. I have courses. There's a couple of free courses in there. So I invite you to check those out. One of them is Meet Claire, which is about connecting to your intuitive gifts. And then plenty of programs and other opportunities for human design chart readings and that kind of thing to become more connected to your soul self-awareness. But the website is probably the best way to do that.
Awesome. I love it. Y'all, you gotta tap in, Lich. You gotta tap in. tap
Yes.
tap into Shelli because we all need to be healed and in tune with ourselves. And she has the tools, the courses, and the resources to help you do that. I so appreciated this conversation and thank you for sharing space with me today. And I just adore you. You're amazing.
Thank you, Ro. My delight and pleasure. Thank you for having.
Hey, Aria.
Hey, Mimi partner.
How are you?
I'm good.
So we're recording in different states today. You're back home in California. I am in Michigan. How's
Yup,
the weather?
it's good. It's hot outside like the partner wants.
Well, let me just tell you, it's a little on the chilly side here. It's not very warm, but I miss you.
I miss you too. You're lucky to be there because you have the water park there that we used to go to all the time.
But it's too cold to go to the water park. So, partner, you got some new nails. We're on a nail trend here. Let's see them. Wow. Are those cherries?
Yes, and I had trouble with them yesterday. I got a lot of glue on my fingers yesterday. I
What
even
kind
got
of
a cut.
trouble? What kind of
See,
trouble?
I got a
What?
cut from the glue because it peeled over my skin a little bit.
Oh no. Did it hurt? Did you put some Neosporin on it?
Yes.
Okay.
My mom put Neosporin like on the whiteboard. Do you know like
Okay.
whenever it's bleeding it'll stop?
Mm-hmm.
She put it Neosporin on it, I think.
Okay.
And then this like foam stuff. And
Yeah.
then she wrapped it around, and it made it feel much better.
Did it
And
take
it
the skin
doesn't
off?
sting anymore.
Did it take the
It's
skin off or just burned?
my skin.
Oh,
A
no.
little bit, but not a lot. A little bit.
So are your nails staying on good though?
Yes, they grippable. They
Let me see
grip.
how long. Go like this so I can see how long they are. Those are long. How can you do it?
Zach took me to the mall yesterday,
Uh-huh.
and then I got it, and then they mine now. Because that was the small size. I didn't get the small size like the last time you got it.
Yeah.
It was in a bucket, and then I
Okay.
just found cherry ones because I knew I was going to wear cherry pajamas. And
Oh,
I wear
okay.
cherry pajamas.
You wearing
So,
cherry pajamas right now?
yeah, and I'm wearing cherry nails.
Oh, that's right, because you're going to a Valentine's Day party, right?
Today, yes.
That sounds like
There's
fun. Are
gonna
you
be
playing
so much
games there?
food. First thing you know, I'll stick my hand in the chips and take
Okay.
one. Every time I will go to your party, whatever chips they'll have, I'll take my finger and take one.
And just one?
Yeah, and
Do
then
you think
I'll
they'll have
reach
some dip?
upstairs and eat it, and it
Do
comes
you
back
think they'll
down.
have some do you think they'll have some dip too?
Yes.
And some cake? Okay. Well, that sounds like fun. I wish I was going.
Because it's only a girls' party too.
I know. Yeah, hey, that's gonna be a lot of fun. Just the ladies and the
And it
girls.
ends at night.
Oh, so y'all but you have school tomorrow.
Well, my mom invited me to it, and she said you could have to bring the kids too.
Okay.
My mom
Well, hopefully you won't be
invited
out too
me.
late. Hoping you won't be out too late. What?
I won't be up too late.
Okay. Well,
Okay, partner. Now
all
give
right.
me some money in this hat. You see it?
Give me your hat. Boom.
Okay. I see nothing in here.
Oh, well, I'll mail it to you.
You rug rat.
You walla walla bing bong.
You rug rat.
Oh, we're gonna play the dozens now, huh?
Yeah. You walla bang bong. You rug rat.
Let me see you, muskrat.
You easel.
You seal.
You dolphin. Yeah, killer whale.
You great white shark.
Yeah, petunia.
You giraffe.
Yeah, Scottish.
You skunk.
Raccoon.
I think we could do this all day. But
Yeah.
thanks for taking the time to record, and I will see you next week. And hopefully it'll be nice and we can go to Knott's. How's that sound?
I'll go on Pony Express.
Okay. We'll see.
Nah, I'm not gonna touch that ride anymore.
All right,
If you
girl.
want me to go on Pony Express, you gotta give me some money though.
Bye, Aria.
Bye bye.
All right, self-care warriors, that's a wrap for today's episode. A huge shout out to Shelli Roberts. She's simply amazing, and I am so incredibly grateful that she shared her wisdom and insights with us. Now, let's dive into a few takeaways for you to carry. First off, remember your power. Healing from narcissistic abuse truly starts with recognizing your inherent worth. When you embrace that, you reclaim your power and pave the way for deeper healing. Next, keep an eye out for red flags. Whether it's your personal life or your work, noticing those narcissistic behaviors can help you set boundaries and protect your energy. Then consider practicing tools for your journey. Shelli talked about EFT tapping, connecting with your spiritual guide, and practicing mindfulness aren't just buzzwords. They're proven methods that can really transform your healing process. Also, Trust that inner voice. By becoming aware of your triggers and tuning into your intuition, you have the power to shift negative energy into something uplifting. And finally, don't underestimate energy work. Those often subtle, intricate practices can lead to profound personal transformation and a clearer path forward. If these insights resonated with you, please do me a favor, subscribe, rate, review, and share this episode with a friend. Until next time, honor yourself, keep holding your purse because you are worthy of carrying only what's truly yours. Peace. Today's episode is sponsored by Self-Care Shorty, your go-to for homemade skin products that keep you moisturized, healed, and at ease. Discover these amazing products today at selfcareshawty.etsy.com. That's selfcareshawty, SHAWTY.etsy.com.